repurpose the content if you can, but don't stress yourself out about it. I want you to hone in into that one platform, understand it, become the expert in it on how you can show up for your people, and then you can start seeing results from that one platform.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Wisdom in the Tangents podcast. I am your host, John Mansfield. Today I have a returning guest for you, Angelica Pompy. She is the vibrant force behind Pompy Portraits out in Jacksonville, Florida. And she's been on the show before. Like I said, she's returning. And she was back on episode 93, which you should definitely go listen to that. I will link in the show notes. But yeah, episode 93, way back whenever this was the Light and Dark Photography podcast. She talked about more the photography side of her business, about boudoir photography and how she creates a safe place for her clients. It's great. Definitely need to go listen to that. Like I said, linked in the show notes. And today she's coming in as the photography coach, Angelica, and we're talking all things marketing strategy, how to show up online, in person, all the different places. You got 99 problems, but marketing ain't one. Hit me. Sorry, that was a little cringe, but so am I. I am also cringe, and I accept that. But yeah, let's get into this episode. I think you're gonna love it. Here is my conversation with Angelica. Angelica, welcome back to the show. It has been, I just said how long it was. It was like December of 2021 when your last episode aired, which was before the whole rebrand into Wisdom in the Tangents too. So welcome to your first episode of Wisdom in the Tangents.
Yes, thank you for having me back. I was like, oh my God, yes, let's chat. Let's do all the things.
Yes. Oh no, I'm so excited. Like our last time that we talked, I know we were talking about boudoir photography last time and like creating a safe space for your clients. So listeners, definitely go check out that. I think it was episode 93, and I'll have it linked in the show notes too. But like we had such a fun time just chatting there, and I was like, oh yes, Angelica, 100%, I will have you back on the show. This will be so much fun. But yeah, I'm excited to chat today about marketing. This is going to be great.
Yes, so fun. I mean, my photography business has exploded. And since we last talked, I've dipped my toes into a whole different niche of educating creative entrepreneurs. And that has been so fun. And just sharing my expertise with others and seeing their businesses explode is super rewarding. So I'm glad that you invited me to talk about marketing because that is my bread and butter around here.
Yes. Oh yeah. No, I love that. What kind of drew you into going the education route too? Just like a lot of people asking you questions all the time.
Yeah, so I actually started when I started this brand in 2022 about education was for photographers initially. And so I created like a whole website and all the things in 2023. And everybody would always ask, Angelica, how are you doing this? You have people always raving about your services. Like, tell us the secret sauce. And a lot of it just had to do like the way I market myself and my branding for my business and the type of brand presence I had in my community. And so people just ask me questions, and I'm an open book. If you know me, you ask me a DM, you DM me something, I'm like answering it all. Like no filter, no gatekeeping. Like that's just who I am.
Yeah.
And
No,
my
here's the
peers were
link
like,
to schedule a one-on-one. Yeah.
yeah, no, fuck that. Like, no, we're not doing all that. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And then I was like in 2023, I said, okay, it's time to make this official. And so last June, I launched Angelica Pompy Education. And it is like this whole separate brand and entity. And I'm loving it because now my audience for that is very different than my photography audience and being able to serve to that caliber. And I actually just rebranded to serving creative entrepreneurs in June. So this is all very new, like lots of changes.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like that's the sign of a really healthy business too, is like you're always changing, always evolving, always seeing, oh, this would be better for me to like shift this way and serve more people, or this is where like the the desire is, or like where people are asking questions, and like getting those questions from non-photographers. Because like this started off as a
Hmm.
photography podcast too, and I just had other photographers on, and that's all that I had on.
Hmm.
And then it kind of like I was getting a lot of other creative entrepreneurs that were like, I'm not a photographer. I'm like, I'm a hairdresser, but like
Hmm.
I'm wondering, could you bring on something like this? And like now it's still a photography podcast because I have mostly photographers, but like I've got recently had on a few authors, and like nothing related to
Nice.
photography at all. And it's fun to just not hold yourself back into one thing and just be like, oh
Yeah.
no, well I can't do that because I am this.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I like, I niched down in my photography business, and that really helped propel my business. So
Hmm.
I was kind of having that same mindset with education. I said, I'm going to stick to photographers and doing the thing for photographers. And the feedback that I was getting from my community, and what I did actually behind the scenes locally, I was hosting events for all women, regardless of photographers or not. And then online, I was presented as a photographer educator. And so I did a lot of A/B testing and like what worked, what didn't work, the type of feedback I got from events I was hosting or facilitating workshops. And the ones that were non-photography related were the ones that like exploded. People were like, you need to be sharing this on the stages and doing this. And I'm like, I'm trying, guys. So plug me in.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I love that you were like doing A/B testing and everything, and not just being like, well, I've done this, so I'm just going to keep doing this, even though people are saying that I'm really great at,
Mm-hmm.
the more broad, not niche down to photography education. So, but
Yes.
yeah, no, I love that, and I love that. Like, I know we're talking about marketing today, and I am very excited to get into that because that is like some of the probably the biggest thing. Marketing and sales are the ones that
Mm-hmm.
people are always asking about, of just like, I don't know how to market other than just like posting on Instagram. And
Yeah.
your topic suggestion of like the 99 problems but marketing ain't one, I was like,
Yeah.
yes, this is great, because there are so many different ways to market.
Yes.
But it's, I don't know, I feel like we see the main the main ones over and over again, and a lot of people just kind of,
Mm-hmm.
almost like it's low hanging fruit for a lot of uh, educators, of just like, oh yeah, social media, oh yeah, blogging, like these
Mm-hmm.
are the things that we'll teach about. But yeah, I'm excited to get into all the marketing stuff. So what are some, like, maybe what are some thoughts that you hear from creatives that are just like, they come to you and they're like, okay, I want to do better at marketing, but I don't know how, like kind of where do you start from there?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as a business coach and marketing strategist, I always like to understand people's business. So, I have them talk about their business, and if they like fumble on like what the problem they're solving, how are they positioning themselves as an expert, that's typically the root cause. Most of the time is that they don't know exactly how they're serving. So, I tell people, pick what is the one problem that you're solving. Yes, you can solve multiple problems, but what is the primary thing? And make sure
Mm,
your messaging for that primary thing is very, very clear. Like if somebody's reading your content and you're hitting on the pain point, it's hitting them in the jugular. Like, yeah, that she's talking to me.
yeah.
So understanding what your business is and how you're serving as the expert is key, and start from there. And then you're going to work backwards. Okay, this is a problem you're solving. This is how you're the expert. Now, what are the pain points that your ideal customer is having? What is the transformation that you're selling? Because if your marketing is right, your marketing will sell the transformation. You won't have to say, book me now, or, buy my services or buy this ebook. It will just naturally sell itself. So as a coach, I like to really understand that the, potential business owner understands what they're marketing, and what their value is that they bring to the table. Because a lot of times as business owners, we wear a lot of hats and we try to do all the things and we kind of brush stuff under a rug. And your messaging has to be very clear to your ideal customer. And that is like one of the most important things as a business owner. And it's across the board, like social media, website, your marketing collateral, like all of that.
Yeah. No, I love that. Like, you have to have the focus and know what you're selling and what you're going to be marketing before you can go out there and market. Because like, trying to like put it into like a tangible place of like a restaurant or something, you need to know like
Hmm.
what kind of food are you selling, who are the people you're trying to attract to come in here. Because like diner kind of people who are all about fried food and all of that are going to be very different than like like a pho restaurant or something like that, where it's just
Hmm.
like, yeah, this is very different kinds, and you can't just be like, hey, we have food, come here. You
Yeah.
gotta really know what you're selling and what you're marketing to be able to share that and like hit those pain points, like you said, and hit those desires, and like to where it hits them in the chest whenever they see your work, and they're just like, that is what I've been looking for. How do I get that? So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And I'm even taking my own advice. My marketing for my photography business, my images and like the experience has sold itself. And now my photography business, I'm leaning more and more into like the transformation, the feels, the emotion to kind of
Mm-hmm.
wheel people back of like, okay, I actually do need this. And I'm that type of coach. I'm practicing what I preach. I have a membership for female entrepreneurs and it's all about marketing, and I share these things live with them. Like, hey guys, I did this thing that didn't work, but I pivoted and I did this. And so I'm practicing what I preach to my peers and my students. And so I'm in it. And that's the thing with marketing. It's ever changing. And like a lot of people forget that. Like what worked in 2021 for marketing does not work today, unfortunately.
No, no, it is always changing, and yeah, and that's why like we need to stay up to date and not just be doing the same thing over and over again, and just like, well, I don't know, I ran this Facebook ad 10 years ago and it worked great, and I don't know why it's not working now. But yeah,
Hmm.
things are changing, and like I hear a lot of people saying like, well, my main source of marketing is like word of mouth. I create a great client experience, and then people talk about it, and that's how I get my marketing. That's how more people
Hmm.
come in. Why should we be focused on things that are like more than just, I mean, first, we should be creating an amazing client experience so that people do talk about it. But like, what can we do more than just focusing on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think people with especially today's society being very social media driven, like social media and leaning into that, spending so much time in that. And I think
Mm,
people fail to realize that there's only a small percentage of people that actually see your content. So like
yeah.
they say the stats now is like about 5% of people see your posts. And you can have 100,000 followers. 5% of that is small. If you have 1,000 followers, 5% of that is small. So you're only hitting just a handful of people. So I tell people shift into spaces that you own, like email marketing. That has been huge for me. In the last 2 years, I've really leaned into that, and I see sales come out of that directly, time and time again. And then my website, that is something that a lot of people brush to the side of like updating, making sure
Mm-hmm.
you have updated content of like your work, but also implementing SEO. That has been a game changer for me. The amount of leads that I get from SEO is this year I'm estimated to trump my social media, which will be the first year ever. My Instagram has been my number one lead generator, but this year Google is set to be like number one for me. And that's really awesome. Obviously, it takes some time and money, but it is
Mm.
worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, like the SEO, Google, all that searching, like that is like the long game, because you can do stuff and then not really see the benefits of it for months. And
Hmm.
social media is so short. Like I will post
Yeah.
something on Instagram and then like within 2 days, no more likes, no more
Yeah.
shares. It is like the lifespan is so short. And in Google, I will search for things sometimes, and it'll bring up websites of like dead companies that
Mm,
have, they shut their doors, but their SEO was so great that Google's like, yeah, this is what you're looking for. Here you go. And yeah, no, that's amazing that yours is like set to go over your social media. That is something that like it is a lot of work working on
hmm.
SEO, working on your website. Do you have any tips on like some things that the listeners can do? I know I see a lot of a lot of websites that, like you said, are just kind of like get thrown together, not really updated. Maybe once a year you'll switch out some photos. But like I'll
Mm-hmm.
see photographers and their Instagram looks amazing, like the grid and
Mm-hmm.
everything, and like everything is cohesive. And then you go to their website and it's like, oh, this is a whole different style. And like
Mm-hmm.
me being not even a client, someone looking to book them, like that would be even more jarring for the client to be like, oh, is this the same person? Yeah, that's same name. I don't know
Yeah.
if I can trust that this outcome is going to be what I'm seeing. What are some ways that people can kind of implement that SEO or work
Yeah.
on that on their website?
So I tell people if you give SEO a jab and it's very cumbersome and you've tried it for like 6 months and you're not seeing the needle move, hire the expert. I gave it a jab
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I didn't understand. There's multiple layers of this. It's not only like the sizes of the images on your website, it's the copywriting, it's the H1 tags, it's the text in the body, your keywords, like the keywords on the photos. It's just a lot of layers to it. So if you get overwhelmed, save your coin and hire the expert. I did that and I saw the needle move within 30 days. It was wild,
Yeah.
especially in my area. Like, there's not a lot of boudoir photographers. So, for me to rank up to page one, it was very quickly. And so, I hired an expert and I have her on retainer, and she does 2 blogs for me a month. And then what we do to make sure everything is like up to date on the website is every quarter we have a marketing meeting. It's like half a day, and we go through all the marketing aspects. So website, social media, email marketing, and then like any marketing collateral, and make sure the messaging is correct, make sure the imagery is up to par, and make sure the brand as a whole looks complete. Like you said, from Instagram to website, it's like totally different. And people see my stuff and they're like, Angelica, your website sounds exactly the way you talk on the
Yeah.
internet. And
Yeah.
like that's a huge compliment, especially coming from freaking strangers. I'm like, oh my gosh, thanks. They're like, you sound so fun. And I was like, thanks.
Thanks, I am. Yeah.
I'm a fun bitch. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But like that is something that like I for sure did this at the beginning where I feel like I have, a more, fun personality. And whenever like we're around each other during photo shoots, I'm always like cracking jokes and like jumping around, whatever, like getting these weird angles and just like having fun, making it an experience instead of just like, here, stand, click, cool, let's move over to this wall. And
Mm-hmm.
my website was very buttoned up and
Mm.
very professional because that was what I thought I needed to be on, like in my emails and on my website was just very
Mm-hmm.
like everything was written in third person of just like John likes
Yeah.
doing this, and it was like so disconnected from who I was. And yeah, I think that is some a very easy like first step for people to just like look look at all your different email and website and social media and just like, is this cohesive? Does it
Yeah.
all point to me, or is one of them very different? Am I still typing in dear readers and all that,
Yeah.
unless you're like a huge like Bridgerton fan, just like dear gentle readers,
Yes.
which might be a good idea for anyone who's like that's your vibe and your people love Bridgerton. Do that for all of your emails. We all want more time in our life. I mean, think about it. It's one of the best seasoning. I can't imagine a shepherd's pie without some time. What was that? Oh, yeah. No, that makes more sense. Okay. We all want more time in our life. Time is finite, it's a construct. But what if I told you you could create your own time? Not exactly, but pretty close. Since I've been using Imagine AI to edit my photos, I have gotten hours and hours of time back that I would have just been sitting in front of my computer, clicking away, editing all the photos. But now I can use those hours to work on my business, to bring in more leads, or for some leisure time playing Super Mario trying to beat that one level that I can't. It's those freaking ghosts. They get me every time. Okay, so this is how it works. With Imagine AI, you upload your photos and it reads everything and learns how you took it from the raw files to the edited images. And it will learn to edit just like you. I've already uploaded over 16,000 images, and every single catalog I get back is better than the next. If you want to get your time back and get your first 1,500 images edited for free, go to allheartphoto.com/AI. That's allheartphoto.com/AI and create more time. All right, now I'm hungry.
And I do want to say this too, like what we're talking about is for those that are more so established. If you're new to
Mm-hmm.
business, your marketing strategy is to get out there. People need to know who you are and what you do. And so my tactic that I would recommend for those that are just starting is networking. That has so much weight. People get to see who you are in person and get to see your personality, can see you talk about the thing that you're passionate about. That is like probably one of the most easiest ways to get clients because you have that personal connection. And then if you do the follow up piece of networking, it's giving coins in your pocket the next day, if you do it right.
Oh yeah. Yeah, networking is huge because like there's still a lot of people. I know that is what skyrocketed my business when I moved to College Station because I lived in Austin, which is like 2 hours away, and then we moved here for my wife's job like 9 years ago, and that was the first thing that I did was set up tours of venues, go to meet people in person, go to networking events, and I'm definitely an introvert, and you put me in a room
Mm-hmm.
full of people, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna wait for someone to come over and talk to me. And I had to like force myself to like I would go to these networking events. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna talk to two people that I don't know, and it's gonna be
Yes.
weird. It's gonna be awkward. But like that turned into some great partnerships and even friendships
Mm-hmm.
with other people in the wedding industry that have it's spanned 9+ years, and
Yeah.
yeah, you
I
might
love
need to get
that.
out of your shell a little bit, and it's your business, so you gotta make those connections, and networking is huge, one of the best
And I always
things.
tell people if networking is hard for you, pick something that aligns with something that you love and desire. Maybe it's not a business meeting. Maybe if you love volunteering and breast cancer awareness is really big in your life, volunteer for something like that. The conversations that will transpire about, who you are and what you do will naturally come up. And you already doing something like that you love is a common denominator with the person next to you. So if business networking scares the hell out of you, do something that you're passionate about and show up in that caliber.
Yeah. Yeah, because you might find your people there. You most likely will. I've definitely gone to like coffee meetups where we just like talk about coffee, and people are like, "Oh yeah, I got this new roast from Bolivia." I'm like, "Ooh, really? Okay. What are the notes?" And like, because I love coffee, and it's stuff like that like it's easy to talk to someone even whenever you're like extremely introverted and don't really want to go talk to someone new. It's really easy to talk to someone when you know that they also love the thing that you love, and it's like, oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I can talk about this for an easy 30 minutes without even having to think about like, oh, what should I say next. It's like, no, I can talk
Yeah.
about coffee, it's cool.
Yeah. I'm done.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that for
yeah,
you because I don't know nothing about coffee outside of the caffeine that it brings me in my life.
yeah. Well, that is the main thing. That is what we love about it.
I love it.
uh, yeah. Okay. So, what are some like overlooked ways of marketing that maybe people wouldn't even think are marketing, but they could be using in their business?
Yeah. So I think one is definitely like marketing collateral and partnering with people that are in your sphere. So, for example, I'm in the wedding industry for a bridal boudoir. That portion of my business would be in that category in the wedding industry. So I've partnered with like local wedding boutiques. And you have to think about it logically. Like, when would somebody book a bridal boudoir? It's typically after they say yes to the dress. So if they were to get like a coupon for that, I want to make sure like, okay, they get it then, not when they are booking their planner because they have other bigger fish to fry, if you will, when they book their planner.
Hmm.
So that's going to get to the wayside and get missed. But they already have their venue, they have a date, they have their big ticket items, they're saying yes to the dress. And if they get like a little thank you bag, I've partnered with some local boutiques to give them $100 off coupon. And so I've gotten clientele from that. I've also done expos. People are so sleep on expos and like pop-ups, using that as a marketing network, because again, if people meet me and my team, they're like, whoa, where you been all my life? I need to book you. I
Mm.
don't even know if I need Boudoir, but I love your energy. And I'm like, come
I
on,
just want to be
baby.
around you. Yeah, I'm gonna schedule this. I just want to be around you.
Yeah. So expos, I've been doing expos since 2021. Game changer for my business, and even offering like a promotion for those that attend and book a consultation call. Some of them don't fall through, but I've seen this time and time again. It actually happened last week. A bride reached out and she's like, I never booked you for when I met you 2 years ago, but I'm ready now, and like I've stocked other people's boudoir stuff and yours is like top tier. Like I had to come back to you. And she's like, I'm not gonna lie, I've been watching every single story that you post. And I'm like, I love that for you. So even if you don't make the impact and see the ROI right away, the long game for those expos are super valuable. So
Mm.
expos are definitely one that people are sleep on, and just being intentional when you do those, getting the information that you need. So like their name, their email, and their wedding date. So you know how you can serve them in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that. Like expos are so great because a lot of people, like you said, they're sleeping on expos. Like it seems old school. It seems
Mm-hmm.
very like 1990s. Like we're just gonna like set up a booth and then people walk by. Like what is this, like a science fair or something? And
Yeah.
yeah, it is very old school, but it works. Especially when people can see your personality, they can see your work. Like if you have like albums and prints and all that, they can pick it up and feel it and be like, oh, this is like I sold someone. I was at a wedding expo a couple years ago, and they just came through and they were like, yeah, this is great. They enjoyed talking to me, and then they picked up one of my albums. They're like, this is amazing. And like, look at the like
Yeah.
the finish on it. And I was like, yeah, it's water resistant, so you can have it on your coffee table. It's not gonna like start curling or anything if it gets wet. And they're just like,
Yeah.
this is great. We want to book you because this is amazing, and also your work is amazing. And like that kind of thing, they would have never seen me because neither of them are on social media, and maybe they would have found me on Google or something. But yeah, like that is another place that you can be, and they are usually not crazy expensive to get into
Mm-hmm.
an expo. um, and yeah, I think one thing is like set yourself apart. Don't just be doing the same thing that everyone else is doing in their booths. Like
Mm-hmm.
showcase what makes you you, so that people are like, oh,
Yeah.
this booth is different. You're not just like,
Yeah.
here's a pin with my business name on it, but you're like doing something extra, whatever that
Yeah.
might
And
be, that aligns.
I tell them like people have to touch and feel, especially if you're a product based business or that's
Mm-hmm.
like part of your business model. People need to feel the albums. They need to feel those invitations. They need to feel the embossing. Like when they feel it, they're like, oh, this is quality. I have a friend of mine, she does faux floral arrangements. And you see that and you hear about it all the time on social media. But when I felt her flowers, I was like, whoa, this feels
Yeah,
real. And I,
yeah.
I went to go smell it because I was like, I couldn't believe it myself. And she's like, you know how many people do that every single time? I'm like, you should just spray them so they smell. Because
Yeah.
I would totally.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I had some, like there were like these wooden carved flowers for a wedding a couple years ago, and whoever the florist was, I can't remember her name right now, but like she dipped them in floral perfume so that they would actually smell like
Mm,
the actual flower that they're supposed to. So then everyone was smelling them, they're like, this smells real. And like I can see that it's wooden like up close, but it smells real too. And it was so much fun just seeing like throughout the entire wedding day, just people going over and sniffing bouquets on all the tables. But yeah,
yeah.
like there's that
Yeah.
added credibility when people can see, touch, feel, speak to you one on one, and not like back and forth through DMs or on an email or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. Uh, but yeah, no, I love the expo uh, insight.
Yes. Yes. I love it. And I always like to tell people too, like, something that I'm actually going to start doing here the next month is connection calls. So, because I've been so hyper focused on my education business and brand, my marketing efforts for my photography stuff has been put to the side.
Mm.
And so I feel like I got disconnected with my wedding industry peers. And so I'm just going to set up some connection calls. I'm going to slide in their DMs and be like, hey, I would love to just touch base with you, see what you're still offering, get to know you a little bit more. And I know like people are willing to do that. And because of my, all the things that I juggle, it's going to be virtual and it's probably going to be easiest for both of us doing it that way. So coffee dates, and I'm going to just send those out to a handful of people that I personally want to build a better relationship with, and get to know them, because if they know who I am and how I serve, they're more likely to recommend me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love doing that regularly because even if they do have that relationship with you, staying top of mind where they're like, oh yeah, last Tuesday I met with Angelica. She would be great for your boudoir. Let me give you her information, instead of like, oh yeah, I know some boudoir photographers, and like having to like
Mm-hmm.
think back, but like being front of mind, having that continued relationship to where it's not like, oh yeah, 3 years ago I met this lady at an expo. Let me see if I can
Yeah.
hunt down her information. It's like, oh no, I just talked to her. We had coffee over Zoom. It was cool. But no, I think that's so great. How can people, like, with all the different ways to market, how can people really evaluate what works best for their business? Where, like you mentioned, like with products, really really great to be in person, to where people can
Mm-hmm.
can touch and feel, it's tangible. How can we
Yeah.
evaluate what are the best for our businesses?
So a lot of the listeners will probably not like this answer, but knowing your numbers, taking like how many, so something that I do, for example, I will go to an event and I put out 100 flyers. I come back and count that stack again. And if there's only 25 left, that means 75 people took a flyer. Now I have
Mm,
to go back, and as those referrals come in, okay, out of the 75, 10 people book consultation calls. Now, of those 10 people, three of them converted into clients. So now what is my ROI on that? And again, it is time consuming, but that's the only way to know what's working and what's not. If you're throwing spaghetti on the wall and you're making a feeling decision, it's probably not best to do it that way, because you're probably missing out on the actual revenue that brought for your business. So knowing your numbers and doing that data, like I have a spreadsheet for my emails of like, what's my open rate, what's my click rate, and then what were the direct sales from that. And I lean into my email list to launch things like first dibs. So if I sell a product and I haven't announced it to the public, I know that directly came from an email sale. So I have a spreadsheet for my emails. I have a spreadsheet for my bridal shows. And then I also just kind of like when I do the networking events, I kind of make tabs of like, I connected with this person. I've been in their DMs. And those kind of conversions take a little longer. But
mm,
knowing like, okay, I went to this event and I walked away with 5 leads and 3 of those leads already booked. So keeping track of that data is important.
yeah. Yeah. Is there any special software or anything for people who are just like, I don't even know how to, like, do I write this down? Is it just a Excel spreadsheet, or how do you do that?
I just created an Excel spreadsheet. There isn't a tool out there. I have not found one that can do all the things. I know there's some stuff for social media. And with social media, it's like a hit or miss. Again, because of the amount with the algorithm and the amount of views that you get don't
Yeah.
equivalent to like sales. And I tell people, don't get hung up on your followers and your view count. Like all you need is like 1 or 2 people to convert as a client. You don't have to have 10,000 followers to convert 2 people. If your messaging is right, it's going to do the job.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I just say start simple of like, okay, you start with, this was the email title, this was the subject line, this is the open, the close rate, and then if you made sales and how many.
Okay. That's great. How, for anyone who's like, okay, you have mentioned email list a few times. I have an email subscriber list of like 7 people. How do I get going? Would you recommend that they do just like send like update emails about the business, or how should they get into that without being like, here, buy from me immediately?
Oh, Cool. I love this question. I like it. So for email, I tell people you have to nurture your people. When you're starting an email list, I personally use Flowdesk. I'm a huge fan of Flowdesk. If you would like 50% off, I can send you a link to that. But makes it easy for me to show up for my people. So writing an email in that software is very simple, drag and drop like feature. If the software is easy, it makes it easier for me to show up for it. And so to nurture your audience, just I would tell people outline it, like reintroduce yourself. That's one email. What are the services that you offer? That's another email. Share client experience and what it was like to work with a client. That's another email. Just like pick one subject to talk about and story tell. Don't write like you said, dear such and such, like
Yeah.
hey, I had this idea come up this weekend and I wanted to see if you guys were interested. I want to do mini sessions here. This was the vision. And I could just picture it where you and your family can be out in the wild forest in the high grass holding hands. And I see the moments. Those are wall worthy photos. Is this something that you'd be interested in? That's like a soft sale. And people are going to respond back. Your people on the email list are literally raising their hand to say, I want to know more about you. So make sure you serve them. And if to grow your email list, first things first, put your past clients on there first because you already served them. They want to stay in tune on what you got going on, and then create a valuable freebie. Just pour knowledge that you have, something that can serve your clients. And so build your email list with that, and then build momentum behind it. Give your email list first dibs on when you launch something new on a service, a product. It gives them like rewarding them, if you will. That's the best way to do it. So like my email list, I just grew my email list for my education side. I went from 300, I'm at like mid 800s right now. And then I have about 2,500 people on my photography side of the business. When I launch freebies or when I launch giveaways, sometimes I just do it just to my email list. Like you have to be on the email list to get this giveaway.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it works. It works.
Yeah.
Email is like one of the best ways that I've seen my business grow in the last 2 years for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, you mentioned earlier about like social media and how it's like 5% of people actually see your posts in emails. Like, when is the last time that you opened up your inbox and didn't at least look at every single email? Maybe not opened it, but you saw, oh, hey, I got
Yeah.
this email. Like, I see emails from places that I shopped at like 4 years ago and somehow ended up on their email list. I'm like, oh, they're running a sale or they're doing this thing. Yeah, I'll open this and check it out. And I love uh, it kind of goes back to like when I said that I was like, very buttoned up in my emails. And the way that you were
Mm-hmm.
talking about your email list is just like friends. Like, hey, I was thinking
Yeah.
about this. Like you would be just like chatting with a friend of like, I was thinking about doing this thing. What do you think? Would you
Yeah.
be interested in this? You want to do this together? And
Yeah.
it's not super salesy. It's that soft sale, which I think that we see emails and it's just like we get so many of the hey, big 70% off sale down at the corner
Mm-hmm.
store, and it's like everything is always salesy in the inbox, and it feels like you kind of have to be. But I love the
Yeah.
soft sale. And also another note, I know I'm just kind of going on right now, but like all that you were saying, I was just like, oh, go back to this. When you mentioned Flowdesk, I love Flowdesk as well. I'm with Flowdesk now, and I was with another one for years because it was cheap and it was just
Mm-hmm.
like, I didn't have, you know, $10 or whatever a month to spend on it, but like it was so difficult to go in there and create an email,
Mm.
put it together. It looked really boxy. It was just kind of it was a chore to go in and just create an email to send out. And with Flowdesk, it is just like everything is super easy. Like the user interface is so easy, and I'm like, yeah, it's almost like posting on social media. I can just go in there,
Yeah.
click this, move here. I can drag over an image. That's great. And it makes it so much more simple. So if you're listening and you're like, no, I tried an email list before and it was so difficult to put something out, give
Yeah.
some different email service providers a chance.
Yeah. And I tell people this, like, if you have an email list, and you're not nurturing them and you just send an email for a sell to sell
Mm-hmm.
something, don't expect to sell anything. Because first of
Mm-mm.
all, they're gonna be like, who is she? What is she doing? What has she been? Where has she been? And if you're not nurturing them and just being, like you said earlier, top of mind to your potential customer, when you drop that sale, then it's going to be like, damn, I need to sign up. I haven't worked
Yeah.
with her in so long, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, you don't want to be that friend that you haven't heard from in 5 years that just calls you up and is like, "Hey, man, I need some help." It's like, "Where have you been? Like, we live in the
Yeah.
same town. Why have you not talked to me until now?" You don't want that to be the vibe coming across from your emails of just like, "Hey, I'm running a sale," or "Hey, I'm doing mini sessions. Come book it." Like, I don't even remember why I got on your email list. So
Yeah.
yeah, nurture, nurture, nurture all the time,
And
and then the soft sales.
yeah, it's so easy. And I like for my right now, my education email list, I'm not really selling anything right now. So I give so much value in that email. People like respond back, wow, I applied this tip. Hey, I'm coming to this event that you put in the email. Like just serve, serve, serve. You can never overserve your people. So that way when
Hmm.
you do launch something, it's flying off the shelf like hotcakes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I love it.
Okay.
Do you have any tips for anyone just like wanting to implement something today, tomorrow, just like that next step to get into a better marketing plan?
Yeah, I would definitely say start with in-person marketing. I know it's very uncomfortable to talk about your business sometimes, especially if you're newer to business, but the better you get about talking about your business, having that elevator pitch, the more confident you will be showing up on social media platforms, and know what your messaging will be and how you can serve your potential customer. So start networking, look on Facebook. There's Facebook events, there's Eventbrite. I'm sure if you're on the internet already, Instagram, you can find an event anywhere. I would challenge you to do at least twice a month and go to these events by yourself. Okay. I know it's
Hmm.
really awesome to have a friend with you, but when you go by yourself, you're very intentional with showing up for you and your business, not for you and your friend.
Hmm. Yeah. And if you are the kind of person that doesn't typically talk about yourself or like brag about yourself, it's really easy to just fall into, well, let me tell you about my friend and what they do.
Yep.
And then you leave the whole thing. You're like, actually, I didn't talk about my business one time
Yes.
to anyone. So
Yes.
yeah, I love that. And yeah,
And
if that feels awkward and all that, just keep going and keep doing it
yeah,
because you're going to get that repetition. You're going to build that muscle and be like, okay, now I can go talk to someone
yeah,
now. I don't have to wait
absolutely.
for the super extroverted person to walk over and be like, hey, I saw you sitting over here by yourself for the last 30
Uh-huh.
minutes. What do you do? And you don't have to rely
Yes.
on them.
Yes. And I always tell people when it comes to social media marketing, pick a platform. Pick the
Mm,
platform that's the easiest for you to show up in. Don't
mm,
try to be on TikTok, YouTube, all the things. Mine is Instagram. I go balls to the wall with Instagram. So
yeah.
pick your platform that is easiest for you to show up in. Repurpose the content if you can, but don't stress yourself out about it. I want you to hone in into that one platform, understand it, become the expert in it on how you can show up for your people, and then you can start seeing results from that one platform.
Hmm. That is a great piece of advice because we hear a lot of you need to show up on Instagram, you have to repurpose things to TikTok, you need to be on YouTube Shorts, you've got to throw things on Pinterest, you've got to, it's like pick one, get really
Mm-hmm.
good at it, and like know your people. And
Yeah.
because yeah, you can repurpose stuff to other places if you want to, but yeah, pick your place. I think that is
Yeah.
great. Yeah, Angelica, this has been so much fun. I've loved having you back on the show again, and I love like watching your journey over the last. I mean, I think we've known each other like 4.5 years now. But
Yeah.
yeah, like since the last time you were on the show in 2021, just like seeing things growing and you getting into education and all that. I'm super excited, very excited to have you back on the show. Before we kind of wrap up and like tell people where they can follow you and reach out and all that, there's part of the show that I like to do where we talk about what we're loving this week. Could literally be anything, movie,
Mm.
book, TV show, whatever. What are you loving this week?
What am I loving this week? I'm loving my balance that I have this week in my business, with having a team. My to-do list is always ever like forever long as a business owner. I'm sure everybody's problem. But being able
Yeah.
to task things off and have free time, which is like what is free time for most people. Enjoying time with my friends every night this week. I have something going on with hanging out with people, and I'm a people's person. I'm an extrovert, so like getting to hang out and just sit by the fire and have a drink and just going to a rooftop bar later this week. Like I don't take that time for granted, and I'm grateful that I have that opportunity to take a break from work with
Yeah.
having a team alongside me.
Yeah. Yeah. Building a team and like even just like setting up automations and systems and workflows and all of that just help you be able to take a break from work without having to shut down your entire business. And
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
like this past weekend was my birthday weekend, and we
Happy
were out for
birthday!
like, thank you, thank you. But yeah, like we went to the beach for like 3 or 4 days, and I still had leads coming in that were getting replied to, and stuff going that I had already scheduled for social media. And
Mm,
it was nice to not have to take my laptop with me to be like, oh, well, I've got to do this thing. And, having a team, having automations set up is huge and gives you so much just like peace knowing that stuff is
yes.
taken care of. No.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you
Awesome.
for having me.
Cool.
This was awesome.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I guess what I'm loving is that beach trip. Like I'm very much a water person, so anytime that we can go to the beach, we're about like 3 hours or so
Mm,
from little Gulf Coast beach here in Texas. But yeah, it was a good time. Mosquitoes were crazy down there because
mm,
like the hurricane hit a week
mm,
ago, so everything was just wet and sitting for an entire week. But other than
mm.
that, we had a great time just letting the kids go crazy in the sand uh, and just sitting there and throwing a
I love
boomerang.
that.
It was fun.
You
Uh,
you deserve this
yes,
life.
yes, yes. So, well, cool. Where can people find you? Where can they reach out, send you a DM, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, like I said, I'm an open book. Just shoot me a DM. I would love to know what you learned from this podcast. My Instagram handle is Angelica Pompy everywhere: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and angelicapompy.com. You can find some resources there that might help you with your marketing and your business strategy. So I would love to invite you with open arms and ask your questions to me.
Awesome. Sweet. Yeah, definitely reach out. And I will have all that linked in the show notes for everyone. But yeah,
Thank,
Angelia, thank you so much for being back on the show. This was amazing. I enjoyed it.
thank you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Wisdom and the Tangents podcast. As always, you can check out all the things in the show notes at podcast.allheartphoto.com. Like I said earlier, I have a link to Angelica's last appearance on the show in episode 93. You can go listen to that, listen to younger, less experienced podcaster voice John. Uh, and yeah, it's a great episode though. Angelica brings it again. And yeah, follow Angelica online, connect with her on Instagram, send us a DM if you love the show. Share it online. Definitely tag us. I always love whenever I see those tags mentions coming in, knowing that y'all are enjoying this as much as I am. Subscribe to the show if you are not already. Next week, I have Megan Ely coming on. She is a publicist for creatives and photographers, and we're talking all about publicity and how being out in front of more eyes is better for your business, which does make sense. And it's a great conversation with Megan. I know I say that all these are great conversations, but they really are. They're really great conversations. So subscribe if you're not already, so that way Megan's episode just flies right into your feed next week. Okay, bye. I'm just gonna walk myself off the screen. Bye.